Ladies and gents, welcome back. Another day of the inquiry, another boring, long, drowned out day of the inquiry. Sorry. It's really hard to keep your attention focused when it's just a lot of procedural talk in this. But some interesting things that are happening on the sidelines on who may be coming in, i.e., Dougie Ford was summoned, but he apparently is saying that he doesn't want to come. He's not gonna show. And I brought in Eva Chipiuk to talk to me about, well, how does he get away with that? How does he not come?
Well, to be honest, I haven't seen what he's said in court. So what happened is he's challenged the summons from the commission in court. And I think something has to do with parliamentary sitting privilege. So because they're actually at the House and in debate or whatever, really their job is supposed to be important and in the public interest. So they do kind of have an excuse for not going because they're working in the public interest. So that's my understanding of how he's challenging it. I honestly have only seen what I've seen glimpsed on social media as well. I don't know if mainstream media is even reporting on that right now, and I haven't seen the court documents myself. It was another group that has standing that asked for him to come. So the commission hasn't actually shared all that information with us, but it is an interesting angle. After watching politicians versus civil servants, I think we just get a bit more of the politics and not really the answer. So I think it's a good idea, but I don't think it's a make or break for the inquiry.
Okay, fair enough. Not a make or break. He did. When in question period, he was asked about it, and he said that this is a federal matter, this is a police matter, and he said federal maybe 12 times in his statement. And well, that's where he left it. So he thinks it's even though there's many other people that aren't federal government talking in this inquiry. Either way, the other thing I wanted to talk about was so we had Bernier and we had Drummond. They were both testifying. And there was one in particular breakdown where there was a video shown. And I can't show this video on my YouTube channel for it getting taken down and age-gated and nobody ever seeing it. But it was an instance where after the Emergencies Act had been declared, invoked, and the police came in to move out protesters, they showed a scene where a particular protester was trying to peacefully resist. He was just not pushing his way past the police, but trying not to be pushed. He got pulled behind the line, and then he was questioned about the witness was questioned about the beating of this person behind the lines as he was being held down by several officers with the muzzle of a firearm.
Yeah, that was really, the silence in the room was deafening. It was amazing to hear him kind of hesitate to answer there when really the video speaks for itself. And really, what was he trying to get at? Clearly, something was happening there. There was brutality, violent brutality from a police officer. It's not like he was clearing the ice. So it's obvious that that machine gun, whatever it is called, is being used on a Canadian civilian. And I don't think that there's any time for that kind of action to be excused. What you did see very clearly is one person surrounded by dozens of cops, dozens of police. So come on, what kind of action is necessary? This guy wasn't getting away from these when he's surrounded by cops.
Yeah, it was really, really disturbing to watch. It was really hard to watch. Another thing that came up in the testimony was the idea that there was there a plan to move the trucks? Was there not a plan? How was the plan broken? What was going on? We never got a clear answer there. The only time it was kind of towards the end where it kind of became clear that the thing that broke the deal was actually the Emergencies Act being declared or the Emergencies Act being invoked. What was that exchange all about?
Yeah, this a deal or no deal has been going on for 10 days too, basically, I think. And the well, they're going to have a chance to finally give evidence next week, it looks like. So we'll be able to share our story and the protesters, what really happened. And what came out again too is how terrible the communication is within even the OPS itself, different units and different the command structure, because even there was a time that there was a question about who was at a meeting, and basically the people at the meeting are saying the police officers, the police liaison team was in the meeting, and the police liaison team's like boss, so in this case it was Drummond, he's like, no, they weren't at the meeting. And then it was the commission lawyer that said, or the city lawyer, I can't remember who, said, don't you think that the people in the meeting would know who is in the meeting than the people that are reporting to you about who is in the meeting? And he's like, well, maybe. And I'm like, there's notes taking, this and that, and clearly it's a large organization, this OPS, but there's a lot of departments, there's a lot of and he said it, that was another area of miscommunication. And what I want to point out is, this is a very regulated, high stakes kind of work environment, policing. And their communication, we've heard time and time again, not good. Yet they expected these truckers that came from all across Canada, independent truckers that didn't even know each other before, January 29th, to somehow be coordinated, listening to one person. They're like, well, one person didn't control all of them. There were factions. Yeah, like it seems to be very similar to what's going on in your own organization. So don't expect more from the truckers. That was something, being here on the ground and dealing with the police all the time. I was just amazed at when we were talking to certain people, other people didn't know. We assumed that they have excellent communication, especially during this time of crisis. And yet the left hand wasn't talking to the right hand.
Unbelievable. So this brings me to my next question I wanted to ask, and that's essentially this whole inquiry is all about getting to the bottom of, was it justified? Was it justified that the Emergencies Act be declared? We have not seen any justification for it yet. No formal direct. There's a lot of people blaming each other for the problems that led up to it, but not a lot of justification. Now, we had Jagmeet Singh speak out in question period. It was a question time, I guess, on CTV News, and he made a statement because they asked him, would you rescind confidence in the government and put us into an election if it's found that there was no justification for this? And he did not say that he would do that. He wiffle waffled and he tried playing politics. Now, the question here is, are we a nation of laws or are we a nation of political whim?
Yeah, well, it not only did they say it wasn't, I think I can't recall exactly how you put the question, but what we did hear a lot of police officers say is the laws that were already in place, criminal law and public order laws, like and bylaw enforcement, that was enough. We didn't need anything extra. Some said, it was nice that we had the Emergencies Act. I'm not sure what made it nice, but certainly not one police officer, including Steve Bell, who was kind of dancing around the issue. No one police officer to date said that it was a requirement. So for Jagmeet Singh to so boldly say something like that, number one, it wasn't his decision. Number two, there's a reason that there's this inquiry. Like this, who are you beholden to, Jagmeet Singh, if not the people, if not this process? Like, if that's what, after 6 weeks of evidence, a week of policy, $19 million goes into this, and professionals are assessing this issue, who are you to disregard it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to thank you, Eva, for coming in today and speaking with me on where we're
I'm
at.
getting a little, hyped up with this stuff, as you can see.
I know. I get emotional about it too. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure. Happy to be back.
And thank you guys for tuning in. And I want to continue bringing coverage of this. There's so much to cover. There's too much to talk about in this inquiry. It's hard to come up with just a few questions for each individual day and what's happening around it. But hey, if you have any questions for yourself, any questions that you'd like me to ask, definitely leave them in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to check out what the consensus is of what people want to know out there. So yeah, do that. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing that now. Hit that notification bell. It lets you know when I go live. And we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trekking.